On this episode of Game Shack, I have news from all four major retro arcade companies. Dark Tower Returns gets this much closer to being released, and I ask you guys, if you could only have one gaming cabinet, what would it be? All that and more coming up next. Hey everybody, it's JDV here for EvilGeniusEntertainment.com. Thanks for stopping by the Game Shack. Hope you had a good month of March as we roll into April. We're now a quarter of the way through the year. Can you believe it? All right, so we'll start with At Games as they fulfill Waves 3 now of their virtual pinball games, and we anticipate the release of Wave 4 of their pinball game, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I am scheduled to get the game. Well, I'm not scheduled to get the game, but I should hopefully be getting the game pretty soon. And when I do get the game, I will give you guys a full breakdown review. Also, At Games is having a big sale over at their webpage this weekend. So if you want to pick up the Ultimate Legends mini cab, I think now would be a good time. They're going to have their pinball packs on sale. I think their puck is going to be on sale. Their little arcade mini controller thing is going to be on sale. A whole lot of things are going to be on sale over at Games. So if you've been sitting on the fence waiting to jump in, go on over to atgames.com and check them out. IR Arcade announced their game for this week, and it's a big one, at least for me, and that's Space Ace. Space Ace, of course, is one of the great animated games that Don Bluth put out, sort of the successor to Dragon's Lair, even though I know Dragon's Lair 2 did come out. Space Ace is, in my opinion, one of the hardest games I've ever played. It's a very hard game to win. I think I've only won it once or twice, and I gave that game a bundle of money back in the day. But anyway, Arcade continues to keep on putting games out for their system and for the users, so that is really good news from them. Also, their Retromania branded cabs have gotten into people's hands, so those have started to ship out, and people seem to be pretty happy with them. If you want to go check out their stuff, go on over to Arcade's website. In MVSX news, it looks like the second wave of their cabinets are starting to get into customers' hands, and there are some noticeable changes in those cabinets from the original issue, and that's essentially that you're getting better buttons. I'm not sure if you're getting a better joystick or not, but you're for sure getting better buttons, so the company's listening to customers' feedback on that, and you're going to get a better sound system. I think the speakers are 2 or 3 watts better than the original, and you think, well, that doesn't mean much. No, it actually can mean a lot in these smaller systems. So that is good news there. Perhaps the best news of all, though, is that Hilo X is still working on this second wave of cabinets. There's no word on whether or not that's going to continue on into the future, but for people who are interested in that add-on, that is good news. Now, I'm not sure if you can still order that second wave or not, but go ahead and head over there and check it out if you are still interested in that cabinet. Arcade 1UP is really starting to get their deliveries out, both of their pinball games and of their legacy cabinets. I'm not sure that everybody has gotten their pinball games at this point, but as I record this, it is April 2nd, and I think that almost everybody has, or they've gotten shipping notices. So some of the furor has died down on that front. What hasn't died down, though, are the complaints about the legacy cabs for Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. As I said months ago, the raised edges on those fighting cabs never made a whole lot of sense, particularly because you're aiming those cabs at men who are going to already be crammed in on that small cabinet. So to have raised edges where you know you're going to have your wrist sitting never made a whole lot of sense. I guess there's already a hack out where you simply just raise the controller deck up to be flush with the raised edges. It's just an unforced error from Arcade 1UP. It looks like they chose aesthetics over playability, and that's almost always a recipe for angry customers, at least some angry customers. So I love these legacy cabinets. I hope they keep putting them out on a regular basis, but I do hope they address the fighting cabinets and have those boards be flush. In other retro gaming news, the makers of Dark Tower Returns, or Dark Tower 2 have announced that they are now in the very final stages of finalizing the product before it goes to the factory to be made. So that is exciting news for anybody who has a pre-order in for that game or is just a fan of that style of board game. Dark Tower was one of the great games from the 80s, and like a lot of people, I still own the game, and like a lot of people, mine broke a while ago. So I'm very excited to get this new Dark Tower game. It looks like they might actually make their July deadline in terms of deliveries, at least if you look at them going to press, so to speak, in the next couple of weeks. But with shipping delays and other things like that, it is entirely possible that we don't actually have these things available to buy, or if you've already pre-ordered, until September, but time will tell. But that is exciting news for Dark Tower Returns. Let's get to the meat of the episode, which is where I ask you guys, if you could only have one retro gaming arcade unit, what would it be? I suppose right off the bat, you'd have to choose between a multi-cade approach and a branded 12 games or less approach from Arcade 1-Up. For me, the choice was an easy one, an instant decision. I didn't have to think about it at all, and that is, drum roll please, the At Games Legends Ultimate. Hello, baby. Okay, so why would the At Games Legends, the ALU as it's now known as, why is that my pick? Well, there are three really huge reasons. One, of course, it's a multi-cade and it has 350 games. While they're not all winners, it is amazing how many of them are actually very fun, very good games. It has a really nice mixture of games on there too, all the different kind of style of games, you know, from shooters to side-scrolling beat-em-ups to puzzle games to arcade games to console games. There really is a really nice mix of games on there. Now, yes, it does have its fair share of stinkers, of course, but even those could be interesting to somebody who had never seen a multi-cade before. Like, there's a game called Fire Truck on there that just blew one of my friend's minds because he used to play that game way back in the day. He just could not believe that I had that game. Now, is that game good? No, but was it cool to have that game on my system that he could look at? Yeah, it was. So the variety of games, the amount of games that just click on, boom, you have 350 games. Well, that is an awesome, awesome thing. Second thing, of course, is the size of the unit. And that is the one indisputable thing that really catapults the ALU above all of the other cabinets is the size of the screen and the size of the control deck. When I am playing my friends in a two-player game like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or even something like Gauntlet or even a side-scrolling beat-em-up. So it sure is nice to be able to play a game with one of my friends without going like this or scooching way off to the side and then hoping that I can still see and play at the same time. The ALU has a massive advantage over all of its competitors in terms of the size of the deck and the size of the screen. And that is just, you can't beat it. You also can't beat the fact that it has a trackball. I know it's not the greatest trackball in the world, but it's better than what I have in all my other games, which is nothing. And it, on my version, has two spinners. For me, the size of the screen and the size of the control deck are massive advantages over the competition, and it's one that is often overlooked. And the third reason why I picked the ALU is because it has perhaps the most flexibility of any gaming cabinet that you can buy. Beyond the 350 games, you of course also can put in things like Coin Ops X. You can play online games through At Games' server. You can play everything from a Wii to an Xbox 5 or PlayStation 5 by plugging in an HDMI cord into the input on the front of the machine. You can also use other At Games products like their Blast dongles. So it has a huge amount of flexibility that just frankly the other systems don't have, or at least not as much of. And Because of all of those reasons, it is my pick for if I could only have one game, it would be the ALU. Now, don't get me wrong, I love some of the things I have from other companies. I love my arcade 1-Up Pac-Man game, the 40th edition. I play it almost every single day. My kids love it. But the fact is, if I could only have one game only for the whole rest of my life, it would be the ALU. Well, what do you guys think? Do you have a different game? Am I out of my mind for picking this system? Tell me in the comments down below. So that's going to wrap up this episode. I'm going to ask you guys to check out my full review of this unit this Tuesday on April 6th, when I will address all of the things that I looked at in the first review. Also on April 6th, I'm going to be joining Your Average Gamer at 11 p.m. on his channel. I don't know what he has in store for me, but it's very exciting to be on the show. He is one of the great retro gaming channels on YouTube, so be sure to check us out on Tuesday at 11 p.m. April 6th. All right, well, until I see you guys next time, love each other, and then I'll see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah! Worst game ever. Still glad I have it though. Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.